Hey guys, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn of tea. All right, let's get to it. Who says crime doesn't pay? Crime, if you're a banker, crime pays immensely. JP Morgan earnings crush analysts' expectations as bond trading revenue surges 90%. They should change that to bond derivative trading because JP Morgan rigged the repo market. That's what this headline should say. JP Morgan Chase posted profit and revenue that exceeded analyst expectations on a surge in fourth quarter trading revenue. CEO Jamie Dimon said the bank produced fourth quarter record fourth quarter revenue. Bond trading revenue surged 86% to $3.4 billion, exceeding the $2.61 billion estimates by roughly $800 million. When in history has a division of a large bank had seen one portion of that bank in one quarter trading revenue surge 86% to $3.4 billion when they caused the problem. Problem, reaction, solution. They caused the repo problem. We all know that. Reuters brought it out. Everybody knew it. Back in October, too big to lend, JP Morgan cash hit Fed limits, roiling U.S. repos. JP Morgan has become so big that some rival banks and analysts say changes to its $2.7 trillion balance sheet were a factor in last month's spike of the U.S. repo market. And Road to Ruta pointed out they increased their derivative book the first quarter of 2019 by $11 trillion, knowing they were going to rig the markets this year. How do these criminals get away with it? They're bought and paid for by the banksters, by the regulators, and the regulators run cover for the banks. That's exactly what's going on. Rates in the $2.2 trillion market for repurchase agreements rose as high as 10% on September 17th as demand for overnight cash from companies, banks, and other borrowers exceeded supply. While not seen as a sign of distress as it was during the collapse of Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers in 2008, the spike did prompt the U.S. Federal Reserve to promise to lend at least $75 billion each day until October 10th. That's still going. It is still going, and it's getting bigger. We're at $470 billion. They lead it just last night. $470 billion. Outrageous. Publicly filed data shows JP Morgan reduced the cash it has on deposit at the Federal Reserve from which it might have lent reduced the cash by $158 billion in the year through June, a 57% decline. I'll bet you it grew after that. This was all a plan. JP Morgan set up the derivatives beforehand and then carried out the plan. Hey, guys, here's how we're going to make money this year. And what happened? Voila! JP Morgan earnings crush analyst expectation. Bond trading revenue surges by nearly 90%. I want to show you guys this. The violation tracker. This is only the violations that JP Morgan has had over the last 20 years. Only the big violations are counted. Right here, this site is called violationtracker.goodjobsfirst.org. JP Morgan Chase, the penalties. This is only the things they've been busted for. The penalties, $34.5 billion. You've been fined $34.5 billion in the last 20 years, and yet you're still operating like it's no big deal. You're still the world's largest bank. You're still paying out bonuses. Look at the abuses. 10 top abuses. 5 toxic security abuses. A normal company would be shut down for good. Mortgage abuses. This is to everyday people. Everybody who has a mortgage got abused by JP Morgan. $5.3 billion, 5 of them. Investor protection violations, 19 times, $4.5 billion. Banking violations, $4 billion, 13 violations. Consumer protection violations, $891 million, 13 violations. False Claims Act and related. False claims, meaning they're lying to the government, cheating, stealing. These criminals need to go to jail. Absolutely. And checked it. So are they going to jail? Here's the latest. Did they stop their crimes? No, they just pay a fine. Listen to this report from Bloomberg.
I want to ask you about another story that you were writing about. Got a lot of reads. JP Morgan putting a senior credit trader on leave over WhatsApp. What's going on there?
This is a crazy story, and one that hits quite close to the hearts of our readers and listeners. Essentially, a credit trader who was using WhatsApp group chats to communicate with colleagues has landed in some hot water with compliance, and this is because the sort of explosive growth of all these messaging apps has become a compliance nightmare for a lot.
It's not a compliance nightmare. It's not. What it is, it's a problem with the regulators allowing them to continue doing business. The DOJ is charging JP Morgan with RICO charges for rigging the silver market for 10 years. While the CFTC was at JP Morgan on 3 investigations looking for fraud, looking for criminal action, the DOJ goes in and finds it right away. And not only do they charge the traders, some of them get charged with RICO charges, racketeering charges. And yet JP Morgan is still allowed to trade in the silver market, still allowed to be the custodian of the SLV in league with BlackRock, the other criminal arm of the cabal. This is insane. It is insane, but these are the results. JP Morgan earnings crush analysts' expectations. Of course they do, because they're criminals. Anyway, yeah, it gets me that the regulators are the ones who are fostering the criminality. Hey, pay a fine. You robbed the 7-Eleven across the street. I've said this a million times. You've robbed the 7-Eleven across the street. You're going to go to jail. Across the street from JP Morgan Chase's office building. You do it within JP Morgan Chase with a suit on. Hey, here's a couple bucks for you. What happens to all that money that gets paid to the CFTC, the SEC, and the DOJ? What happens to all that money? I don't remember ever getting a refund for any of that fraud. Where does it go? Hey, Mr. Banker is all I got to say.
Bravo, band. Bravo, band.
More wine.
More wine. More cowbell. This is it's called Hey, Mr. Banker. It was written about Jamie Dimon and the criminality. The amazing thing about banks these days is you can go to JP Morgan, go across the street to the 7-Eleven. Somebody robs that store of $100, they get like 6 months in jail. Right across the street, they're robbing us for billions of dollars every day, and they get no jail time. They pay a fine, and the fine's a hell of a lot less than they make on those transactions. It is pathetic, it is sick, it is wrong, and I wrote this song called Hey, Mr. Banker. I usually do it slow, but with the band, we're going to go really fast, snippy, like fast. All right, ready? Hey, Mr. Banker, I can see you play your dirty games, but you ain't fooling me. You're making money out of thin air, lending to the people. The money never was there, foreclosing on the sheep. When all falls apart and we are down on one knee, you demand a bailout and a get out of jail card free. Whoa, you're just a criminal in a fancy suit. Just a criminal, stealing everyone's loot. You're just a criminal, and you'll get yours one day. When the people find out, they're gonna lock you away. Hey, Mr. Banker, I see what you're doing. You're rigging markets higher, derivatives are brewing. You tell us all is different, it's gonna go on forever. Secretly you're short thinking you're so damn clever. You finally rig it down and watch everybody drown. You steal the real asses, get the heck out of town. Oh, you're just a criminal in a fancy suit, just a criminal, stealing everyone's loot. You're just a criminal. You'll be just one day when the people find out. We're gonna lock you away. Take it, Dick. Mr. Banker, I think you're in trouble. The people are awake and we're arising from the rubble. And don't you run and hide now, cause we are gonna find you, drag you in the town square, expose what you've been up to. The justice will be swift, we're gonna lock you in a hole. I'd hate to be you, God have mercy, mercy, mercy on your soul. You're just a criminal in a fancy suit, just a criminal, stealing everyone's loot. Just a criminal, you'll get yours one day. When the people find out, they're gonna lock you away. Oh, you're just a criminal in a fancy suit. Just a criminal, stealing everyone's loot. You're just a criminal, and you'll get yours one day. When the people find out, they're gonna lock you away. Just a criminal, Jamie Dimon.